Lights, camera, and action. All these lights going. Right, peace and love, peace and love. Nature One is initiative. First initiative. Peace and love. Lights is bright. Put the shades on. How you doing? All right. I don't know if this is like TikTok and start tapping the screen or whatever. I'm not certain of that. But I'm your beloved brother, Dr. Ray Anunta Ray Tech. I am a master organite tech builder, teacher of Raynology, wielder of primordial energy. I am my ancestors' keeper. I am an altar activation expert, and you are now dialed into Q&A with Dr. Ray. Some people call me Brother Ray. It don't matter. Nunta Ray Tech is the platform. 1089 TV is the place to be. And on this particular, excuse me, on this particular channel, we allow people to ask questions, right? And those questions are based on things that you may not know about, things that are ungoogleable, right? So if you have any questions concerning anything, I'll do my best to answer it, right? I'll do my best. And if need be, we get up on the whiteboard and bring it into illustration. I want to give a shout out to the 1089 tech community. I want to give a shouts out to D-Soul. What's up, D-Soul? I see you, beloved. How you doing? Shouts out to the 1089 tech community. Shouts out to the AAA Academy and the alumni. Salute to you guys. Thank you to all of the supporters, the participants, and everyone that's viewing in right now. I just want to say peace and love, and may the ancestors be with you in this great day and time, right? Because this is a great day and time that we live in. This is a day and time when all of the prophecies of this world are being fulfilled. And we are blessed to be a witness to this great day and time, to watch all of these prophecies come to pass. I'm your beloved brother, Dr. Ray at Nunta Ray Tech. Again, I am a master organite tech builder, right? I build pyramids. Teacher of Raynology, wielder of primordial energy. I am my ancestors' keeper, and I am an altar activation expert. So for all you people in the New World of North America, this is what you've been waiting for. Right here. This platform right here. All right? Need I say more? All right, so let's get it in. 1089 TV is in effect. And if you guys have any questions you can ask. If not, I will go on the monologue and just start dropping information. You know, I thought the religious cat would show up. You know, I find it quite interesting how people do not like getting debunked. They don't like for their beliefs to be shattered. And I have to get that disclaimer before we begin. If you're religious, if you have a belief system that does not have a solid, stern pillar or foundation for you to come in here with etiquette and respect, just leave right now, because you're not gonna like where things gonna go. You just not gonna like it. And it will go there. And I ruffle a lot of people's feathers. And that's been an ongoing thing over the past 2 years. A lot of people get very frustrated. The anxiety starts to build up inside of them. The nervous system begins to get overwritten by the truth that's being disseminated on the 1089 TV platform. Because we will have clarity. We will have clarity in this great day and time. You feel me? Had a religious guy. He's want to go back and forth with me, back and forth. I don't got time to be going back and forth with y'all. I got too many different things going on just to be isolated and dealing with you. Right? Y'all see, we had 222 videos right now on the YouTube. 222. My goal by seminar, I want to be at least by 250 videos. Hopefully I'll be up to 300. But y'all know me from TikTok. Y'all know how I get on. YouTube is your turn to see what time it is. Because we got a new belief system in place. It's called the woke community. It's the new religion. And like I told a lot of you guys, until you deprogram from your religion, just because you done stepped away from Jesus, just because you done stepped away from the church or the mosque or the synagogue, you still have that operating system. Your consciousness is running on that operating system. All you did was change the names, right? Change the focus and change whatever principles. But your consciousness is still running on a belief system, which is a 6 ether albino frequency, right? That's a 6 ether albino frequency, AKA the Caucasoid. That's a Caucasoid wavelength. And it thrives on belief. The more that you believe, the stronger it becomes. The more that you believe, the stronger it becomes. Just like Santa Claus. It has to make it into their marketing database. And then it becomes a reality once it does that, whether you believe it or not. And that's what religion is. The Santa Claus for grown people, because you can't prove any of the things that you talk about in your religion. Can't prove it. And I've debunked people several times when it comes to religion, because show me the original Bible, carbon dated at the same rate that you're capable of carbon dating the Akkadian records. I need to see that thing I need to see a carbon dated version of that. Just like the Papyrus of Ani. They could carbon date that, right? Just like you could carbon date that pyramid that's up behind me. I need to see some proof. I need to see some empirical data that can be carbon dated. You're going to be hard pressed to do that. Going to be hard pressed. And people get mad at me for holding up what is referred to as Egypt or Kemet. And I just use those terminologies because I know that's what people will understand, right? But we are disenfranchised here in the New World of North America and the world over in many places due to the religious institutions that suggest and insist that you forget about your customs, you forget about your traditions, and you forget about who you are, and forget your identity and just pay attention to this book that we done put together. And at one time, they used to strong arm people and make them believe. How you gonna make somebody believe? And how come y'all don't, and I'm talking to my Christian brothers and sisters, how come y'all don't never bring up the Christian Crusades? Why y'all don't bring up all of the blood that's on the ledger and the sword of Christianity? In the litany of states and countries that it has put under submission. I mean, the internet, we're in the information age. It ain't no running from it now. Belief has become outdated. You don't go to work into a belief system. You know what the hell going on at work. There's no belief system when it comes to occupation. There's no belief system when it comes to the financial institutions. There's no belief system involved in anything that does not come across that television screen, right? So y'all want to get on into it? I'm waiting for the little religious dude. He keep on sending me all these. You want to go back and forth in the comment section? I'm not doing that. Come on here live. I'll bring your ass up here and let your cam on up if you got something to say. And most people don't be having nothing to say. They just they really don't. And the same thing for you woke people, because like I said, the woke is the new religious institution. Wokeism, the woke community that still sleep, that still hasn't addressed their deficits. Don't include me in the woke community. Don't include me with none of that wokeism. I'm not with none of that bullshit. I am a Nuabia, a Nawapian, which is mixed blood of Nubans, because they mixed all our blood up. You go down, you shake your family tree, some Irish people gonna pop out, some French, some German. But they tried to mix into your blood and dilute the generations and create new branch lines so that your ancestral channels won't be able to become active in the physiology of your makeup. It'll be a lot of conflict going on inside of you because you got conflictual genes inside of you. You already got conflictual genes when you start dealing with other ancestors that are not Homo sapien, right? And that's primarily, the animal aspects of the physiology of who you are. Because you got reptilian at the brainstem called the medulla oblongata. And as you go beyond that cerebral zone, you go into the mammalian hemisphere of the brain. So you got mammal and reptilian genetics that are conflictual with one another. This is what you incarnate into. This is not you. This is what you incarnate into. And then as we go beyond the thresholds of the mammalian and you come into the frontal lobe cortex, this is an even more evolved being, right? Because it starts not to have a genetical trait there once you get into the neocortex area. That's you. That is that's the aspect. Remember, I told you it's 1/3 of you. Listen to this. It's 1/3 of you. 1/3 of you is a mammal. There's 1/3 of you that's reptilian, and then there's 1/3 of you that's not reptilian or mammal. That's you. Just as there is 1/3 of you that's not your mother, and there's 1/3 of you that's not your father, and there's 1/3, and that 1/3 of you is you. All of that exists right here, and that is the consciousness for the so-called conscious community. Because everything is conscious to some degree, but you're operating on an unconscious field. This is what allows you to take advantage of the physical reality. Because if you turn that light on in your kitchen and you got roaches, that roach seen that light come on. It's not going to sit there and start doing the Watusi. It's not going to sit there and do a TikTok challenge. It's going to run. And it's going to attempt to get to a position in your home where you cannot reach it. That takes consciousness. That takes consciousness to do. So everything is conscious. If it knows how to function with survival, which is tied to the cerebral cortex in humans, which is an animal, right? You're a hybrid of a collective of animals. Not you per se, but just this container, this body, this vehicle. You got to become aware of this shit, y'all. And you can't just hear it one time and be like, oh yeah, I got it. You're going to slip. Your unconscious mind is already been conditioned to take over for you. You didn't let it override your own consciousness that is you. And what Rainology does is rein you back in to you so that you can see exactly who you are and disregard who you are not. So when you get to the frontal lobe cortex and go into the cerebral zone of the neocortex, it's just a whole bunch of electromagnetic energy there. And for all you guys that's been keeping up all this time, you've been rocking with me the last couple of weeks. It's an ongoing theme. As y'all see, I stay on the same topics, then I pull back a couple of layers from that topic. Then I go over that topic again, and then I pull a couple of more layers. Because I want you guys to be capable of retaining this and then applying it into your life for you, not for me, for you. And then come back to me and be like, yeah, man, that was some bullshit. None of that shit happened for me. But you got to be steadfast, right? You got to be rooted and grounded in the conviction of your own existence first. You have to be. Peace and love, Miro. How you doing? Anybody got any questions out there? You got any questions? Any questions in the comment section? If not, y'all know how I do, right? March the 7th and the 8th, we will be in Atlanta, right? Duluth, Georgia. We got 2 events, one on the 7th and one on the 8th. The first day, we're going to go over Rainology 102. No more 101. I just got to get that disclaimer. So save your questions for the Q&A session of that event, because I'm sure many people will have questions, but you missed all of the Rainology 101. You missed the variant levels that we went to. I want to say we went to the green level, right? Because that's where we at right now on the second day with Het Heru. And we're going through the science of the Neteru, right? And that's a subsidiary subject within Rainology. Now, I ain't saying that you ate some. I could already hear, man, I'm just going to come to 10. I'm going to come to the science of the Neteru. I don't need the 102. You're going to be lost. You're going to have even more questions. And for these events from now on, what we're going to do is we're going to allocate a time for question and answer. We'll do that after we take our lunch. You guys can ask your questions then so that we don't hold up the seminar. Because you haven't been to 7 or 8 events like many of the people in our community, you will have questions because you wasn't there for a lot of that stuff. And one thing I find quite interesting is that when people do come in, things just didn't start where you came in. It just started for you where you come in at it. This thing been going on for quite some time, and it transcends the mediocre rise that I had on TikTok, and it started on Facebook initially, right? So I have people that's been rocking with me for 7, 8, and even 9 years. This just didn't come out of nowhere. And initially, most of the people that support this platform or that support Noontar Raytech or that acquire the services of Noontar Raytech, they don't even have social media sites. Many people can't grasp that, because what you got to realize is that I've been on this spiritual awakened aspect of my journey for over 29 years. I didn't just start this. I didn't need YouTube. I didn't need the internet to be a catalyst for me to come into my awakening. Many of you don't have no choice, especially you Gen Zers and you millennials. Y'all didn't have no choice. That's not your fault. But that's just the way it is. The technology that took over. And this is why I consistently say to my brothers and sisters in Christ, hey, man, that shit done ran out. I was there when they was talking about Y2K. You should have seen every preacher and minister was shaking in their boots because they knew that the year 2000 was coming, and everybody said that's when Jesus is coming. It's going to be the year 2000. They were showing you all these calculations and all this other bullshit. And then, then it came and went. And everybody act like they didn't make all these false predictions before it happened. Tell me I'm lying. I tuned into one of those preachers. I want to say it was Bronner or one of them, right? And he said, tune into our broadcast on January 1st for the coming of Christ. The Y2K. Y2K came. I put the reminder, right? I put a reminder to let me know. And I got up on that Sunday and watched that broadcast, and that shit said Y2K, and he said it meant yes to the king. That's what Y2K meant. No, it ain't. That's a computer terminology. That came from the computer people talking about that shit. That didn't have nothing to do with Jesus. It had nothing to do with saying yes to the king. That was some bullshit. And that was 26 years ago. But everybody just brushed that shit up under the rug and act like, ooh, this whistle Dixie. Something else will happen. Something will take place. Something will occur. Right? Something will definitely go on. We'll figure it out. Jesus is still on the way, though. Just hold on. Just wait. Everything about to end. They've been telling my grandmama that all her life. May the ancestors be with her. Because she lived to be 96. My other grandmama, my mama Floyd, may the ancestors be with her. She lived to about 71, 72 or something like that. That shit didn't happen in a lifetime. My Aunt Rose, want to say she made it to about 92. That shit didn't happen in her life. These are people that I knew in the flesh. I was sitting and waiting, hoping, and thought that they would be able to bear witness to the day that Jesus returned, or that Christ returned, as some of you will say. And you got that memo for some bloodthirsty warmongers, because that's what the Romans were. And when you look at the word Roman, you could break it down and see roll man. You know, roll the man. Roll the man. Okay, there we go. Peace and love, Mother Edinburgh. I see. In my sleep, I was full conscious, flying around and having interactions. And as soon as I have a human thought, I'm instantly kicked back into my body. Is there any techniques I can use to control that? Yes, there is. You asked me this question yesterday. Shouts out the Natural First Initiative, right? In your name alone gives the answer. Let's tap the screen and share this live with some people if you guys will. And we about to get in. We gonna go in on this whiteboard. See, this on YouTube, so I can't tell you to get me 5,000 likes and all of that shit, and then we're beginning. But y'all go ahead and tap that screen. We about to go in on this. Tap the screen, share the live, and let me get some water and stuff because we about to go in. or go to that website, 1089techvision.com. Come join our community. All you gotta do is purchase a piece of tech. So all you gotta do is purchase a piece of tech. And shouts out to Initiative. We switch up the shades so I can see a little something. Cause I be having it bright up in this joint. Y'all see where we left off yesterday, right? See, what you got to realize, First Initiative, is that you are not the body and you are not the mind. You are not the body and you are not the mind. And I do implore First Initiative, you go look through all of my playlists on the TikTok, because we then went over this several times, and I know you're new here, but this will bring you up to speed. And and for anybody else that's watching, follow me on TikTok at the same name. And it might have been a little bit too broad. Right? So here's the body, right? And these are the three compartments that the mind seats itself. Your mind breaks down into three fields as it enters into the vessel, just as you do. You break down into three aspects. That's why the mind seats itself in these three places. So as it comes in through the pineal gland, this is the conscious mind. You got to know thyself. This is the unconscious mind. And this is the subconscious mind. Let me get a 9 in the comment section if you guys are following that. These are the three aspects of the mind in third dimension. No, reality, which is actually an illusion. Because this reality is composed of electricity, magnetism, atoms, and molecules. Right? So when you are awake, this is the aspect of the mind that you're working with. And many people miss that. They'll say, man, what you mean I'm unconscious? I just seen that dude get knocked out in the boxing ring. And they had to put some salt under his nose to wake him back up. Right? They had to wake him back up because his conscious mind went into the subconscious field. The conscious mind usually refers to the unconscious mind while you're walking around here, who is utilizing the unconscious mind's settings to move around here. So when you walking, you don't look at walking like you did as a baby. You walk on an unconscious level. When you're talking on an unconscious level. When you're hearing something, you're hearing it on an unconscious level. But all that stuff is being stored into the subconscious mind, right? And the subconscious mind operates in the sleep, or it's on the other side of sleep. It's on the other side of sleep. Not the dream, because this when the body is at rest. You hear me? And the conscious mind leaves out of the body. You leave out the body. This is you. You follow that initiative? So you think that you, this body. That's what you think, right? Which is your sixth sense. And we'll go over the senses again. Let me draw the eye of Heru so we could have some context to this, right? We're going to put some conscious context to what we're talking about here. So this aspect of the eye of Heru, which, let me say this, because I had somebody cut like, hey, you know the eye of Heru, when you split it in the middle, it's the eye of Heru in the middle of the brain. No shit, I know that. But this is hashtag spirituality for beginners. The way that I break things down is for people that don't know nothing about none of this. I got to approach it in that mannerism. You can't just overwhelm people with too much too soon. You don't get a tomahawk steak to the little baby that's sitting in the high chair and tell them to eat up. You chop that shit up into little itty bitty pieces. Sometimes you got to liquefy it and give it to them. So I'm not just going to over bombard people. I'm putting stuff in a context for people. Because see, a lot of these people out here in the so-called conscious community and the woke community, they just sharing a bunch of memes and making up shit. That's all they doing. But we're going to have things in its appropriate context. And when you're looking at the eye of Heru, right? This is a representation of your five senses. Walk with me now, nature, because as I keep going over these things again and again and again, you're gonna start operating like that. And you need to get a piece of Dream Tech Ultra. The Dream Tech Ultra that I have, and I don't know if we got some people from the tech community in the comments section, they'll tell you. You're gonna have some lucid ass dreams. You're not gonna go back to your body no more. I know how to stop that. But before we even go into that, I got to give you a prerequisite and break down something that you need to understand. So that when this shit start going off, you don't go nutty. Right? So the eye of Heru represents the five senses. This one represents touch. This represents taste. That's the tongue. This is the eye. Y'all all know that, right? Now, this aspect of the eye right here represents the nose. And this aspect of the eye represents the ear. The brow, right? Synonymous with the brow chakra right here, the conscious mind, represents thinking. Right? So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you got 6. Right? Senses. They tell you only have 5 senses. You came in here late, Adan Souza. This is Q&A with Dr. Ray, right? That's the name of this platform. You can go check out a couple of my shorts and see the questions that I answer in the shorts to put things in context. And don't forget to follow us on all social media platforms. But my beloved brother, Nature First Initiative asked the question, and we're answering his question just to bring you up to speed. And the question was, in my sleep, I was full consciously flying around, right? This is what he said. A human thought instantly kicked me back into my body, right? He had a human thought. Is there any techniques I can use to control that? That was the question. And I'm just bringing you up to speed because you did ask, right? Shouts out to that brother or sister, right? So for the being that said that, hey man, he had a conscious thought. You had an unconscious thought, really. Because you used to allowing this aspect of your mind to make all the decisions for you while you're in the awakened realm, right? And most people don't know that you got 6 senses. Y'all think y'all only remember the 5 senses that the baloney man taught you about. He didn't tell you everything that he stole out of that the Mesopotamian army they took away, right? And let me just go ahead and mute this. So, thinking. This is what you have to learn to transcend, brothers and sisters, is thinking. Some people will say, oh man, what you mean I gotta transcend thinking? That's some bullshit. You can't transcend thinking. Yes, you can. That's the only way that you, the conscious mind, can override the unconscious mind, which is connected to your 5 + 1 senses. Because you don't think about, that's what the unconscious mind is doing. It's giving you the space to think. You don't have to worry about these functions. Your unconscious mind takes care of that for you. And everything that you think, say, and do gets recorded in the subconscious mind, even when the body is sleeping, because the conscious mind transcends that barrier. Now, the unconscious mind cannot go there with you, right? Pay attention, nature. So when it goes down like this, let's just call that the barrier. The unconscious mind can't go beyond there. The conscious mind, which is you, goes beyond that. The conscious mind has the ability to pass that threshold. And you're going into something that's referred to as the spiritual universe, right? When you go over there, the awake unconscious mind, which is tied to the body, you follow? That aspect of you, it get blocked right here and it can't go there. So right there at the threshold, it just calls it a dream, right? It calls it a dream. And it says, oh man, that shit ain't really happening. I can't hear it. My ear, I got the function of your ears and all of these other components. And it's laying down in the bed. So your unconscious mind, you laying in the bed. That aspect of you is in the bed. But that's not you. The conscious you goes into the dream realm. And in order to get there, you got to pass the threshold of the subconscious mind. So when we first go to sleep, and this is something we cover in our community quite extensively, need to join the community, nature. This is your calling right here, because you had that question yesterday too, and it's okay. This is Q&A, right? But when you first lay down and go to sleep, the first doorway that you go through, once you start sleeping, is your own subconscious memory. Everything that you thought, said, and did through the day gets it gets optimized into files, and then it starts to present the things that you were repetitiously presenting to your unconscious mind while you were awake. You follow? Now, after you pass through that, because it's 9 gates that you have to go through before you get back to the awakened state once more. And what a lot of people do is, as their conscious mind becomes online with the spiritual universe, is they'll begin to they become conscious. They're not unconscious in the spiritual universe, because now your awareness has expanded and you know it's not a dream no more. Because you're like, man, let me fly. You start flying, but you're so used to allowing your unconscious mind to take over. You'd be like, oh man, I'm not supposed to be flying. That's not you. That's your ego, right? Which is linked to the unconscious mind, right? This is the seat of the ego, which is an acronym. Somebody tell them in the comments section what the ego, what's the acronym for ego, right? And the acronym for ego is electromagnetic what? Generated organism. It's the electromagnetic generated organism. You follow? And this aspect of you, it's already calling this shit a dream because it can't go there. It got to stay with your body. It has to stay with the body. And you so used to listening to it. You've been listening to it for all these years, but now your consciousness that came online and your unconscious mind don't like that. That's your doubter. That's your hater. And like I tell many of my students, the final boss is your mind. Your mind gonna tell you all type of shit. And if you listen to your mind, then you're gonna be subservient to its suggestions. Because it loves to be stimulated. It then got used to it. It liked them cookies and cakes and ice cream. Right? And all the other amenities that you have acquired. And the people that put this stuff together study the body. They study the body extensively. And they want to make you addicted to a litany of things so that they can profit off of you. What you have to do is start to study the body at the same rate that these marketing scientists, the scientists that they hire for these marketing campaigns and to put stuff in these certain foods and additives, you got to be studying you at the same rate. See, we don't study ourselves. We don't want to know ourselves. We leave that shit to something outside of ourselves to do it for us. And that's why I tell people within Raynology, the first gate of Raynology, study the biology book. People be like, hey man, what book should I read? Where should I start? I say start with a dictionary and start with a biology book. Those are the 2 things you need to begin with. Because there's no religious doctrine to biology. There's nothing to dispute. There's nothing to argue about. This is a ground where things have been brought into a collective consciousness or a unified collective consciousness, meaning that if you live in Utah, Salt Lake City, and you know about the liver, you know about your intestines and your colon, there's nothing to argue with somebody that's from Poland about the liver or about the digestive tract. There's nothing to be disputed about. They're going to come to the same exact conclusions. And we don't never want to look at the things that make us, that bring us together, right? We don't want to look at the things that we all have in common. We want to look at the things that separate us, which that's an illusion in the 3rd dimensional reality, because everything is just electromagnetism and atoms and molecules. Yeah, she said a sister told me you can't bring that here. Yeah, see, that's a whole nother universe, right? So let me see what happens if I turn this light out. All right. Y'all can see that? You can see that nature? You see that board pretty good. Okay, so the spiritual universe, things vibrate a lot more rapidly in the spiritual universe, right, than it does in the physical universe. So your unconscious mind cannot keep up with shit in the spiritual universe. And it's moving so fast that it thinks it's not happening. And it's attempting to convince you that you just having a dream. But that shit is not a dream. That's actually going on. Right? So we're going to call this the physical universe, PU. And SU, we're going to call that the spiritual universe. Right? 1 hour here. Oh, excuse me. Let's start with let's take it to the smallest. 5 minutes here is equivalent to 5 hours in the spiritual universe. So the time that it takes for us to register in our unconscious mind 5 minutes, our conscious mind can perceive 5 hours at the rate that the unconscious mind sees 5 minutes. So when you're in the spiritual universe, you've been over there for 5 hours in the first 5 minutes that you've been asleep. This is why when y'all wake up in the morning, a lot of times you think that you're late for work or you think you done overslept because you done spent so much time in the spiritual dimension. And most people get 8 hours of sleep on average, right? That 8 hours of sleep is equivalent to 2,400 hours in the spiritual universe. That's a long time. That's a season of time, which is about the equivalent of 90 days or 3 months, 6 days, and 12 hours. That's how long did it take you in the physical universe to make up where you trek through the spiritual universe in one night's rest. I'm gonna stop right there to make sure that are you online with me, nature? Are you online with me? You follow me so far? You need to get a piece of Dream Tech. Need to get a piece of Dream Tech. You put this up under your pillow. And while you flying through your dreams, you're going to keep flying through your dreams. You're not going to return back to your body. It's going to block out the subconscious mind and make it, it'll make it stay in the body and stop being nosy about what you doing. Like, motherfucker, make sure the blood is flowing. Make sure you got enough melatonin being distributed to the areas in my body and hold it in the paralysis, in the state of stasis while I go out here and fly around and do my shit. You hear me? You may need to start meditating. I don't know if you meditate or not, but your genetics may have been set to go off at a certain time. And you did that. You put that default setting on you on purpose so that you could get adjusted to what's going on here in this reality. Because you predate this reality, right? And that's a whole nother story in itself. So in one night's rest, you gone for 2,400 hours. That's the way that your unconscious mind is picking that up. But it can only stop right here. And you vibrating so fast that it can't keep up with that shit. And your subconscious mind is recording all of that. Your subconscious mind has went into the spiritual universe with you. So it can record everything that you're doing. And your unconscious mind, the awakened mind, don't know about none of that. And because see, and this is just hypothetically, the unconscious mind probably can only take in about let's just call it 500 gigs. Y'all know how I like to use that. 500 gigs of RAM. That's a computer term, random access memory. But the file from your dream last night had about 20,000 terabytes of RAM. There's nowhere to upload that much information into the awakened unconscious mind. It has to deduce that file into fragments, take those fragments, listen, tie those fragments together, and generate a trailer so that it can understand. You know what I mean? Because it can't, it's just too much. It's overwhelming for it. So it's like, man, that's just a dream. And it tells you, oh, that didn't really happen. You was just dreaming. Right? But a lot of people have said, hey, I had a dream last night and I woke up and that shit happened for real in this life. All right? So for the sister that was telling you, like, yeah, you can't bring that stuff with you. Bullshit. Yes, you can. And it ain't even that you taking it with you. As you come back closer to this threshold, into the physical or the third dimensional reality, some people, they got so much autonomy, right, over their conscious mind and their unconscious mind that they'll sit there and they'll look at what's going to happen in the next day because they in a spiritual universe where things are vibrating a lot faster. They see everything that happened in 5 minutes, or let's just say 10 minutes. Because most people got a 10-hour awake time that they moving around and functioning, right? And they get to see a little, they get to peep it like, oh shit, look at this. This what's going to happen? Okay, let me go get back my body. And let me get up and let me go meet that nexus point that I observed from the spiritual universe, which is a whole nother universe than the physical universe. So while you go to sleep, because I do it all the time, I go back to my childhood memory in my subconscious mind. And I go through the doorway of there. And when I go to my old block that I grew up on, I'm flying in the sky. And I come down to the ground. Like Neo in the Matrix. And I'm inside, I'm inside my own memory. Right? And I say, man, I want to go to another planet. And I just shoot off right from there with no restraint. Because my unconscious mind is in my body. I'm aware of that. And my body is aware of that. And my unconscious mind is aware of that now. Because I've trained it. That's what meditation is for, is to tame the minds. Right? The aspects of the minds. You want to train them and tame them. And once you do that, then you can have full autonomy while you're moving through the spiritual universe. And while you're in the spiritual universe and you're doing all this stuff, it's being recorded by your subconscious mind. It can hold that data from a night of sleep, a night's rest, which is the equivalent of a season of time. And one night rest is like you done been over there. You done been in the spiritual universe for 3 months, 6 days, and 12 hours. That's the whole spring. That's the whole winter. That's the whole summer. That's the whole fall. You done been over there that whole time. And your unconscious mind cannot fathom that. It can only fathom what you hear, what you taste, what you touch, what you see outside of the focal points called your peripheral vision, and what you smell. Once you start going beyond this threshold, you go into thinking. And once you start thinking, your unconscious mind gets unsettled because it can't go into that cerebral zone with you. It wasn't built to do that. It wasn't stationed to do that. It was only stationed to handle your bodily functions. Once you start thinking, you're going beyond its capabilities, right? And thinking links you to your higher senses. And your higher senses are intuition. And intuition operates from the conscious mind in the brow chakra. That's why you see the brow right here on the Eye of Heru. That's what that represents. It's the brow chakra. You follow? So we'll call this the first mind. 2, you got telepathy. This is what you can access when you operating from the first mind. Then you got your clairvoyance. These things, these functions do not require thinking. And then you got psychometry. Now, if you're not vibrating at a level where you're operating from your conscious mind, your unconscious mind is going to always seek to override what the conscious mind is doing because it's going beyond the threshold of thinking. And that's where the anxiety, that's where the nervousness, that's where all that stuff starts to kick in to attempt to rein you back into the body. And what happens what gets us to go there, Dr. Ray? Doubt. Uncertainty. Fear. Right? This is second guessing. This is third guessing. Now you in fourth guessing. And then fifth guessing is incompetence. Now you got to operate on faith. Now you're going to use faith and belief, which the unconscious mind wants you to do, because now you won't be operating from the conscious mind no more. And now it can treat you the same way that it has been programmed to control your body. But someone has to vet these things out to you. You're not going to come to these conclusions on your own. And this is why I tell people you need to have a guide. You need to have a teacher. You need to have a mentor or an advisor. Someone is well versed in experiencing the things that you are starting to experience. It's analogous to, let's just say, the Super Bowl. I'm going to use it as an example because it just happened. All right? Now, I am I'm a Patriot fan, right? For the superficial cases of being in this physical dimension, I go for the Patriots, win, lose, or draw. Now, when they got to the Super Bowl, I said, oh man, they're not gonna win this. I knew that in my heart of heart they wasn't gonna win because they had too many inexperienced players versus the other team that had a litany of experienced players. You follow? And those few players that they did have that were inexperienced, they were leaning on the know-how of those people that were experienced. So when they put it in real-time gameplay, what began to occur? Once they put it inside a real activity, the Seattle Seahawks was going to come out on top, regardless, because they had too many people that had experience. They knew how to improvise on the spot. They didn't have to keep referring to the coach. They had enough people on their team like that, like, oh, they ain't got to ask the coach. I know exactly what to do. They wasn't second guessing themselves. They wasn't doubtful. They wasn't uncertain about the decisions that they was making, right? So this is what you're talking about in reference to mental knowledge, because that's what raynology is mental knowledge. And you have to break through the barriers of thinking. You got to break through it. A lot of people are like, man, what you mean no thinking? How you not? If you still got to think about it, 9 times out of 10, you're going to doubt it. 9 times out of 10, you're going to be uncertain. 9 times out of 10, you're going to fear, right? You're going to fear not thinking. And you're going to go back right down into the body again. Start listening to the ego. Because that's what the mind got control over. You're going to have to catch it in the replay, beloved. You about an hour late. We done been on here a whole hour now. Ask somebody in the comment section. Or catch it in the replay. We talking about the dream state. Right? Now, Nature, I hope that answered your question. Got any more questions, Nature? First, did I answer your question? And shouts out to you, Harsha Tate or Harsh Shit. Did I answer your question? Nature First Initiative? All right. Okay, cool. Any other question before we erase the board? Give you guys a chance to go ahead and do this. Get a screenshot in. Okay, you got it now. Okay. Yeah, man, get you a piece of Dream Tech. Go to the website. Get the Dream Tech Ultra. To see when you when you get that Dream Tech Ultra, when you awaken, you will know how to pull from your subconscious mind or your subconscious memory. And I always implore for people to start writing this stuff down. And you have to be repetitious because that's the stuff that the subconscious mind will present to you in the awakened realm and when you go into on the other side of sleep into the spiritual universe. Because this is your doorway there. Just like you, that was your doorway to here. Because from your mother's placenta, the umbilical cord went into your stomach, right? And the stomach was the first area to receive information about the external world, not your brain, not your conscious mind, which is not your brain. It sits in the frontal lobe cortex area, but that doesn't mean that that's your brain. That's just where you have the most autonomy over the body. But your mind seats itself in the heart. That's the axis of the mind. And from there, the unconscious aspects of the mind facilitates your heartbeat. That's why your heart beating so fast. Because that's the vibratory frequency rate that you vibrating at, that you don't get to experience until after you leave out the body. So after you leave out your body, now you vibrating at your regular rate again. And your unconscious mind can't keep up with that shit. It can't even go over there. And a lot of times you guys go back to your body. And when you go back to your body, only a little bit of you, the conscious mind, goes back into the body. Right there into the brow center. And only thing you got access to is your eyes. And you be like, oh man, I can't move my body. That's because you got too much melatonin moving through your central nervous system. And it's keeping your body in a state of paralysis while you're in the spiritual universe. And they've clinically diagnosed that as sleep paralysis. Right? But that's the body paralysis. That's not, sleep can't have no paralysis. It's the body that's going through that paralysis. And not enough of you, the conscious you, is present in the body. Most of it is in the spiritual universe or somewhere in between both dimensions. We call that a Vesca, right? And in the Vesca, you'll call that the physical universe, and you'll call this the spiritual universe. And you get caught somewhere in between here, and you trying to connect to your body. And only thing that you can move from this particular station is your eyes. You can't even move your head. You follow? I hope this making sense to you. I hope you guys are picking up what I'm putting down. We got any more questions out there? He said, I had a sleep paralysis and a man with the top hat tried to choke me. He tried to choke me out, but I called on Jesus and he went away. Probably a leg bar. Probably a leg bar. And see, all you knew to do, TiVo, was call on Jesus, right? that was done to make your ass get in your body. Because you wasn't in your body. You was playing around with it like, oh, shit. This motherfucker want to play. Let me make his ass get back in his body. He was fucking with you. He was taking on the role of a trickster being. And your ass hurry. You was like, oh, Jesus. Like, when people get to the end of their life, they might have become a devoted Muslim, or they might have went to Hare Krishna or whatever the fuck. But your default setting gonna go back to your conditionings. The second you get in trouble, you gonna, because that's where the fear. See that? That's where the fear kicks in, and the incompetence kicks in, and now you start calling on something outside of yourself. You hear me? He said, man, it's like Jesus. Now, Jay, a lot of those beings are watching you from the observational field and seeing how you can handle yourself. Because I told y'all, man, a lot of people be walking around here with their chests out talking about they're a god or I'm a goddess. No, you're not. You a human. You know what I'm saying? You a human. And stop propagating that shit to people out here that's really attempting to get in alignment with their true self. Because as it says in the Papyrus of Ani, spend every day of your life preparing for the afterlife. Say it one more time. Spend every day of your life preparing for the afterlife. What's the afterlife, Dr. Ray? That's the spiritual universe, where you're going to need spiritual senses to operate in the spiritual universe. You can't have physical senses in the spiritual universe. They just not going to work. You need an unconscious mind, and the unconscious mind cannot thrive in the spiritual universe. It's vibrating too slow. You leave that aspect of your mind in the body after you extricate from it what you call death. No, you can spell it like that. You put an E in front of it, Elegba, right? You got a top hat on with a skeleton face, or it's a skeleton paint on his face, and he got a he got a cigar in his hand, right? Y'all need to join the 1089 tech community, because see, I will unveil a lot more. I put everything in its context for you guys, right? I think I shared the levels of the spectrum, but join us on the school. If you're a little spooky and you scared to come into the tech community, just come to the school. Because like I tell people all the time, I don't mess with Baphomet. I'm not into Lucifer or Lilith. I'm not into pentagrams and hexagrams. I don't put spells on people. We don't do conjurings. You know what I'm saying? So you explaining everything so clear. Yeah, beloved. Because I want y'all to get this. Because see, what you got to realize, TiVo, and I guess you see it by now, I too was once TiVo Guap. Right? Nature's first initiative, I was once you. There was a time I didn't know what a chakra point was. I didn't know what an auric field was. I knew what a triple beam was. I knew what a Talon was in the AK-47. I knew what that stuff was, but I didn't know. I didn't know what a chakra point was. I didn't know what the solar plexus was. I didn't know that stuff. I knew the physical body, but that was it. From there, I started going into Jesus. And the reason why I started going into Jesus and Christianity is because I seen people get results from praying to Jesus. I seen the results that it was giving them, but they were physical results. I had a homie out in California when I stayed out there. He used to pray every day. Before he left the house, he'd say his Psalms. Had the praying hands. And I mean, niggas had him dead to right. And he didn't get smoked a few times that happened. I just knew he was dead when I ducked behind that car. I came up, that nigga like, you all right? You all right, blood? Like, damn, nigga. Like, boy, the Lord got me. See, that's why I pray every morning. And that shit always stuck with me. And when I moved back to where I was from, my mama didn't tell me to do this. My daddy didn't tell me to do this. But I said, I'm going to have to go get baptized in the name of Jesus. Some people was like, yo, you a Muslim. You can't do that. Like, well, shit, I'm about to do it. I said, if I'm not supposed to do it, Allah will step in right now and stop me from going to get baptized. But I went ahead and did that shit. And I was sincere. So you got to be sincere. If you're not sincere, it don't matter what your belief system is. You have to be sincere about it. You got to have a conviction that's going to allow you to apply what you're learning. And most religious people don't apply what they're learning. They don't even study what they're leaving themselves receptive to. And that's taking that for granted. And see, Pastor Porkchop, Minister Michael Kors, and Louis Vuitton, Deacon Dior, Pastor Prada, they aware of that shit. Y'all go to him and let that nigga read every verse to you. You don't write it down. Trust me, I'm in the blood of Christ. For all you Christians that be like, oh, who does this nigga think he is? I'm in the blood of Christ too, my nigga. Don't get mad at me because from my religious convictions, I've seen this. These are the notes I took from my religious convictions. You feel me? So I would be in church and I'd pull it out my sock. I had a little notebook. You always keep little notebooks like this. Pulled that joint out my sock. Like, shit. They like, dang, hey, what you doing? I said, I'm taking notes. I'm writing down the Bible. What's the name? It's like, oh, you must be trying to be a preacher. I said, no, I'm just taking notes, man. I want to know the word. We supposed to want to know the word, not believe in it. You're supposed to want to know it. Don't you want to know it? Yeah, I do, but I let Jesus take the wheel. I ain't got to worry about all that. I'm like, what the fuck y'all doing here? That's when I started seeing that most religious people full of shit. Like my father said, shouts out to my pops. I said my sock, man. Come on, get on up out of here with that. Don't be mocking me. Show some respect. You know I can't see your face. You know that. Why would you even say that sucker shit? Right? So I pulled it out my sock and I took down the Bible verses. And I go study them. I highlight them with a highlighter and everything. And see, I used to read out the Quran and the Bible simultaneously. I always kept two books that were two different polar opposites so that I could get a clear, concise unbiased perspective on what I was reading. But most people are lazy thinkers, right? They're lazy when it comes to thinking. They rather just operate in doubt and uncertainty or fear, right? That's more comfortable for them. That way they don't have to hold themselves accountable. That's right. The glory of God. You know, I had a guy earlier trying to go back and forth with me in the comments section, trying to condemn Egypt. And I said, well, damn, where was Jesus educated at? Where did God say, send my son? He didn't never say send his son to nowhere. Right there, I was done with that dude. Because if you was really into Jesus, you was really into the Bible and to the word, you should know that. Most people come out the Bible, they don't even know how the damn Bible verse ready. That's how I know they ass ain't been studying that shit. But you want to condemn me. You can't wait to condemn. That's the one thing I seen in the church. People can't wait to condemn you. They can't wait to your ass. All they do is talk about each other. That's what weak minds do. Talk about other people. Who got time for that shit? Don't you know God is watching? Ain't God watching you? Why would you do that? You must don't have no faith in God. You must not believe in God. You're being false. And it tell you right in the Bible, many are come in my name, don't believe they ass. That's according to Jesus. What's the first thing most Christians say? In the name of Jesus. Ain't that what they say? I come in the name of Jesus. Let's pull the verse up. Let's pull the verse up, man. Because like I said, a lot of this stuff is Lord in our consciousness. Many people grew up under religious traditions. Most of you did. Most of you grew up with that picture of that white Jesus in your house. Don't say you don't, because they used to have it on Good Times. And I remember when Michael became awakened, when he started to have self-awareness, right? He said, Mama, why we got that white Jesus up there and we not right? That's Matthew 24. Matthew chapter 24, verse 5 through 31. And they done changed it up a few times. That's why I like to use an actual Bible versus the digital Bible, because they can switch that shit up and make it fit their narrative. But once that shit inked in the paper, that's a wrap. And it tells you, right? Many will come in my name, claiming to be him. I come in Jesus' name. Jesus loves you. Like, yo, did Jesus tell you to say that? No, you know he didn't. And then they'll look at me and condemning me, not knowing that when I was a full-blown Christian, when I was into that religious institution, boy, I was on it. And I don't see that shit on none of these people. They're using a whole bunch of catchphrases and catechisms that they picked up in the church. And they try to project that shit on you like that's gonna work. Like, nah, man. You done met the right one today. Because I'm gonna pull them verses out on you. And in fact, let me go get my Bible right now. Because over there in Zone 6, over there off of Moreland Avenue in Atlanta, Georgia, I used to stay over there in my early days, and people would call me the Reverend. They would call me Reverend. And I used to get so offended that they thought that I was a Reverend. And shouts out to my man, Triple Black, you know, Christopher Gates. Because he the one that called me down. He was like, yo, man, don't get mad at him. He was like, yo, they don't understand. That's the best that they know. They don't know how to articulate themselves. And all they understand is religion. And I used to carry a Bible everywhere. I had to start carrying the Bible because when I wear my tarboosh or my fez and I got my sash on, the first day, are you a Muslim? That's just show you how illiterate, I don't even want to say illiterate. Let's show you how slow people are. If you're not a Christian, they automatically think you're a Muslim by default. And then they don't say Muslim. They'll say Muslim or Muslim. And you could correct them and be like, no, it's Muslim. Oh, okay, Muslim. No, it's Muslim. Muslim. See, they inherit the frequency of the sixth ether albino. Because I told y'all this the other day that their chakra points go to their heart. It don't go to their throat. They don't have a throat chakra. They don't got one. They don't got the brow chakra. You hear me? Let's read this. Matthew 24. See, I pulled out a real Bible. For many shall come in my name. This is written in red. Let's go to verse before it. It says, take heed that no man deceive you. Right? For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not controlled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines, and pestilence, and earthquakes in divers places, right? Meaning that it's going to be in deep places. All of these are the beginning of sorrows. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and you shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. And then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another. And many false prophets shall rise, and shall deceive many. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. But he that shall endure until the end, the same will be saved. Right? And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come. When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of in Daniel the prophet stand in the holy place. So whoever readeth, let him understand it. Then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains. Let him which is on the housetop not come down to take anything out of his house. Neither let him which is in the field return back to his clothes. And woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. But pray ye that your flight be not in the writer, neither on the Sabbath day. I'm going to say that again. But pray ye that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Sabbath day. For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, nor ever shall be. And expect those days should be shortened. There should be no flesh be saved, but for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. Right? So your days is numbered. And like I said, people get to the end of their life, people get into these fearful situations, and they're going to call on Jesus by default because it's been crystallized into your consciousness. But these fake people that's showing you this shit, that transliterated it into this language, because according to this scripture, Jesus didn't speak English. Jesus was not a European, right? Didn't speak none of those languages. But they're using them to validate who this being is. And a lot of people get complex when I tell them to go to Matthew chapter 2, verse 14, and God said right after he was born, take my son to Egypt and sojourn there until Herod is dead. Because Herod was looking to slay him. He killed the firstborn of every child. In this modern day time, instead of killing the firstborn, they just put Planned Parenthood, abortion clinics everywhere where the people that resemble the image of Jesus, not the one that they promote to you. I'm talking about the one with woolly hair, skin of brass, and eyes of fire. They say, oh shit, he might pop up again. But see, they don't tell you about the Christ and what Christ actually means. Now, some of your reverends, your preachers, and your pastors and your ministers, they know what it means. Some of them, if they study, because they all Masons. They all Masons. You can't even head a church until you become a Mason. And I'm not a Mason. I'm not a Mason. I'm not a Shriner either. Somebody even tried to make me an honorary Mason. I was like, no, I'm good. Don't do that. Don't say that I rep that shit. Because then you would attempt to hold me to the convictions of your oaths. And I didn't never take them oaths. But when you walk through that pylon, you see the eye of Heru, like you see right here on my shirt. You see Osset and Osaru over that checkered floor. But then y'all will turn around on Sunday and go to church and tell people to pray to some dude on the damn cross that's looking all dead and defeated. I don't need no God like that. It tell you right in Exodus, don't make no graven image. But you contradict that and you make the most gravenest of images. You take God's son and show him in his final days. If anything, only proof that I got from religion when I decided to walk away from it was like, damn, only thing that they prove is that man could kill the Son of God. That's what it showed you. And the people that killed him, the Romans, established the first church. How was the first church established from the people that hung him on the crucifix? Make that make sense, man. Make it make sense. And don't get mad at me for questioning it. Because without questions, you can't get no understanding about things. So we got to ask a question. Like, man, I got a question for your ass. If you want to get to the nitty gritty, you're going to ask questions. Right? If you got a family of 3 or 4, and you went to Jimmy John's the night before, and you got a honey roast turkey sandwich with extra Swiss and pickles, lettuce and tomatoes, salt and pepper and vinegar and oil. You got you a bag of chips. You cut it up, cut it in half, and you ate half of it, and then the niggeritis kicked in. Right? They say, man, I ain't gonna eat all this. Let me put it up in the refrigerator. And one of your children get up in the middle of the night and eat your sandwich. And you get up tomorrow and you start looking for your sandwich in the, like, at the breakfast time, lunchtime, you're like, you know what, I'm gonna eat. I got a Jimmy John's. Let me eat that. You look in there and your Jimmy John's sandwich gone. You like, man, who ate who ate my damn sandwich? That's the first thing you're going to say. You're going to question, listen, you're going to question everybody that lives in that house with you so that you can understand why your sandwich isn't in the refrigerator when you're the one that put it there. The same applies to religion. The same applies to any and everything that's asking you to accept it. No, I got to ask some questions first. Anybody that say, oh, you can't ask no questions, get the hell away from their ass. See, I don't like to just go on long tangents and and talk, I got to have some interaction, right? You got to ask me a question because I'm well learned. And that's the way that my teacher taught me. See, it's a lot of people out here attempting to teach, but they ain't never had a teacher. You can't be a teacher until you was a student first. I'll say that one more time. You cannot be a teacher until you was a student first. And this is why I call the so-called woke community, right? The new religious institution. It's the new religious institution. And many of these people cannot validate themselves as a student to anything or anyone. They can't show you what they've been initiated into. They have no clue on what they're doing. And the second you attempt to correct them, they may spaz out on you because they've never been corrected before. Right? Billy Carson showed up at that white dude house in the middle of the night at 2 o'clock in the morning because he bust your ass up about Barnabas. When all you really had to do was get the Pa Rudy paradigm and you could have sliced that nigga up. I'll sit down with that white dude and he gonna be like, oh, turn the camera off. Hey, we not airing this. You just shattered my paradigm. That's why we call it the Pa Rudy paradigm. Because when you look at Barnabas, or some people say Barnabas, and Simeon, it called them niggers. Right in the book of Acts, chapter 13, verse 2. Called them niggers. Said, what do you think about J. Cole's new album, The Fall Off? I'm not in the, I listen to J. Cole, but I'm not in the music like that no more. I'm not a youngin'. But I do respect his craft, and he's an extreme lyricist. I fuck with J. Cole. But I don't have time to sit there and idolize. And that's no disrespect to J. Cole or to you. But no, this is not hip hop in review. All right. Shouts out to J. Cole. I fuck with him more than I fuck with all of this Percocet music. I'm a hip hop generation baby. You know what I mean? So I listen to J. Cole. I listen to the Griselda dudes. I listen to shouts out to Phase One. I fuck with Phase One. Cambada, I fuck with some of that too. While they were worshiping the Lord and fasting, the Holy Spirit said, set apart for me Barnabas and Saul for the work to which I have called them. Yeah, that's read it from the beginning. Right? Let's go to the book of Acts. Euro African said, how much to purchase this one? To purchase what? You're going to have to. He said, go to poster in the background. Y'all like that poster, don't y'all? Posters, I got to make them posters available. One of my students was like, yo, Doc, you need to start selling posters, man. And I do. But they charge me an arm and a leg for them posters, y'all. And I got to turn a profit. I'm just keeping the 10K with you, right? Let's see the book of Acts. Nehemiah. I ain't pulled the Bible out in a long time. Let me just go right here so I don't have to do all that flinging. I appreciate that streets beats. Yeah, but I fuck with J. Cole. I fuck with all of that. Anybody that's showing some intellectual prowess, some lyricism, some thought, I'ma listen to it. Good, bad, or indifferent. Since you done took us on the they work on my family and village in Ghana, but now I'm doing Uber in the crime by England. And now a farm is suffering. I don't know what I don't know what to tell you about that, beloved. What was that? Acts 2. It's Acts 2, verse 13. I mean, Acts 2, chapter 13, right? And where's that? Or was that Acts 13, 1? I think it's Acts 13, 1. Oh my God. Okay, there it is. Acts 13, 1. Now there were in the church that was in Antioch certain. Now there was in the church that was at Antioch certain prophets and teachers, as Barnabas and Simeon, that was called Niger. They say Niger, and Lucius of Cyrene and Manaen, which had been brought up with Herod and Tetrarch and Saul. Right now, what they don't tell y'all is that Lucius of Cyrene is actually Libya. They're not telling you that. Cyrene is Libya. Why they didn't just say Libya? The reason why, because they already called Simeon, who was also one of Jesus' disciples, and Barnabas, called them both niggers. How did they find the time to call somebody a nigger back in that day? Racial slurs didn't even exist during that time. Said, was the name changed over time? Yes. But see, Antioch is where Christianity was born. And as rhenologists, we always go to the point of origin. That's why anytime somebody bring up Jesus, and y'all can take notes on this, always refer to Matthew chapter 2, verse 14 and say, hey, we got to start it when Jesus first came out his mama. I'm sorry, we can't. Don't tell me about what happened after he came out his mama. Let's start from there and walk our way through the life of Jesus. Don't try to bring me to the end of Jesus on the cross and what Paul had to say. I don't give a fuck about none of that. Let's start with him, his mama, and his stepdaddy, Joseph. Let's start right there, right? And when you do, it say, go take my son to Egypt and sojourn there till Herod is dead. Same thing with Moses. Moses was found in a basket floating up the Nile River. Same thing with Abraham. Oh, Abraham, he had to go to the Pharaoh, which they don't tell you why. It's because he was given the land of Canaan. Listen, he was given the land of Canaan because Canaan and his children, they were beast-like, according to Ezekiel chapter 16. They were beasts. That's the beast of the field. They was born without umbilical cords because they started sleeping with animals. And animals don't have an umbilical cord. There's no umbilical cord to cut. You follow what I'm saying? There is no umbilical cord to cut on a dog, a wolf, a sheep, or a goat. And the same is said of many so-called Caucasians. They're not born with an umbilical cord. I didn't make this up. This is actual fact. That's why some of you sisters that are having babies now, they always petition to take on your placenta. And they tell you that they're going to use it for stem cell research, but that's some bullshit. They're trying to get at to probably their wife. The doctor like, hey, asked him, because my wife trying to have a child, and I want the child to be born with a placenta. You hear me? But right there in the book of Acts, it called him a nigger. And then when you get to Manaen and Herod, Hold up. How you going to have Herod brought up with Herod the Tetrarch, and Saul? Saul and Manaim, these motherfuckers run with Herod. And Herod is the one that was looking to kill Jesus. See the conflict? People won't even know that there's a hypocrisy there. It's a contradiction there. If you don't study the Bible, which people don't study the Bible. Just because you got faith and belief don't mean that you know what you're talking about. I'm going to say this one more time. Just because you got faith and belief in something does not mean that you know what you're talking about. Just because that shit sound cute and it sound good, that don't necessarily mean that you know exactly what you're talking about. There's a high probability that you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. It's a high probability. And somebody will come and test your temperature. But see, when it comes to Dr. Ray, it's going to be really difficult to test my temperature. Because people will ask me, based on their own understanding, who is your God? And I'll tell you, my God is the Son. For what you can understand, my God is the Son. And it's confirmed by Jesus in Revelations 3:14. Called it the source of God's creation. The beginning of the source of God's creation is the Son. Say, was the name changed over time? Aten. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And see, even the people in the Happy Nile Valley didn't like Aten. They didn't like that Akhenaten, right? Because that's on the name, on the end of his name. Aten, right? Because he was there to unify all of the deities under one God, which is Aten. You see that right there in the solar disk with the Uraeus, right? He brought back what was referred to now as monotheism, the worship of one. But he was talking about Ra or Re or Amun. And what Re sent him to the planet to do. Yes. Yes, that's right. Because his name was King Tunk Akaten as well, right? Some people say King Tut, but it was King Tut Akaten, right? All unified up under Re. But they tried to switch all you got to do is look at the vowels. They always switch the vowels around. And like I just showed you guys about Syren, Lucius of Syren. Syren is just another way to say Libya. Why you ain't just say Libya? Because they was trying to hide it. Anything that's dealing with Africa, they're going to try to hide it. Like when you go to Genesis chapter 2 and you see the word Habilia, and you see Pishon and Gihon, that's the Nile River. That's the white and the blue Nile River. That's Sudan and Nubia. They not telling you that. Because then you will start looking in those regions and you're going to see a bunch of dark-skinned, woolly-haired people with big nose and big lips. They know that. So they have to change them names around. Why you think it was illegal for niggas to read here in the New World? They didn't even want you to read. Once they made it legal within their corporate infrastructure for you to read, that's because they had already put all their lies in place to program you and condition you to be a worker, a debt slave. That's why they started letting your ass read. And that even backfired on them. Because what happened when niggas started reading? Medgar Evers, Noble Drew Ali, Marcus Garvey, Elijah Muhammad, right? The Black Panther Party. All this shit started to emerge. Tulsa, Oklahoma, Rosewood, the cities in South Carolina and North Carolina started to thrive. And you started to supersede what the baloney man had going on. And that's when the first acts of terrorism were exercised in modern time. You drop bombs on them people because you wanted them off their land. Y'all submerged lands underwater, and you haven't atoned for your devilishment. And your privileged ass children, right? Oh, we didn't do that. But that blood is coursing through your veins, and you're not even looking or seeking to atone for the lives that were ruined by the peoples whose blood is coursing through your veins. Because that's their blood. That's not your blood. You follow? That's their blood that's coursing through your veins, not your own. And I'll be doing y'all a disservice if I don't bring these things up. I had to bring them up. So when a white person, a so-called white person, because they're not white, they're pale or translucent or pink or baloney colored, smell like baloney, hot dog water, right? Wet dog. I'm just keeping it 10K. But when you come to me and attempt to tell me that Jesus loves me, you're being racist. Because 50 years ago, Jesus was white. Nowadays, it don't matter what color he was. You can't flip-flop like that. Like Jesus says in Revelations. You can't be lukewarm. You either hot or you cold. Ain't no in between. A lot of people try to get in the gray areas. I don't play that gray shit. That's why when we do Q&A and I tell people, don't ask me what I think. Don't ask me what I feel. Ask me what you want to ask me. Stop trying to pick my brain and see where because I already got it figured out. I'm not confused. And it's okay that you are. It's okay that you want some understanding so that you can grow into an overstanding. You're supposed to want to do that. But people will come and address me in a gray area. Don't do that. You're not going to learn nothing that way. Right? You say, or is it a different race? I don't know what you talk about, TiVo. You're going to have to be a little bit more clearer, loved one. You're going to have to be a little bit more clearer. It's what a different race. It's only one race, and that's the human race. And the human race originated with the 9 ether beings. The Cherokee tribes speak of a pale people who would come out at night. I don't know about those Cherokee tribes. I really don't. You would have to ask them that. You know what I mean? And then tattoo. You know, the first people to come over here was before, excuse me. The first people to come here to these shores. No, it's all good, man. It's all good. Yeah, a lot of them are allegories. You're right. But before before the Europeans came here, the Portuguese came here first, right? And they came with a man by the name of Hernandez de Soto. He is the devil incarnate, right? That's who came here before John Smith and all of them, you know. Then you have the French that followed up behind the Portuguese. And then the British came. Because y'all got to remember, a lot of these beings was illiterate. They thought the earth was flat. They thought if you kept going west, you would fall off the end of the earth and fall into a bottomless pit and all that shit. They were not that bright, man. And a lot of our people are taking social cues from people that was that had ranking over what people thought. And I'd be doing you guys a disservice not to bring these things up. I really would. And I'm not going to do that to you. We got any more questions? We're going to end up going on to the TikTok next. That'll be, I guess, 322 Eastern Standard Time, but it'll be 222 Central Standard Time. And I'm going to go live over there, right? And I'm going to just upload that whole live to the YouTube, because this one going to automatically upload. But the continuation of this will start over there. I'm going to let my phone charge up after 111. But anybody else got any other questions? Any other questions? Go ahead and ask them, loved one. Nope. All right. Atlanta, Georgia. We're going to be in Atlanta, March the 7th and the 8th. 2 events. On the 7th, Raynology 102. On the 8th, the Science of the Neteru. And we'll be going into Het Hebrew. Because we shifting into a new paradigm. We in a new paradigm already. But now we about to go to the next tier within the Paruti paradigm as we move away from the religious institutions, the belief system, and the faith-based systems that have plagued the minds of the mortals of this planet. Right? Go ahead, loved one. Go ahead. Type your question. I seen a mothership in clouds. My grandma said it was a seer, as well as clouds were shaped in Hebrew. What do you think this means? You said you seen a mothership in the clouds. Your grandmother says you was a seer, as well as clouds were shaped in Hebrew. What Hebrew letters was it? It's kind of vague. Said I try to take it as a message to read the Quran. Okay. Yeah, you should have. This is why it's important to take notes. Very important. You will learn all of this stuff, man. Everything will come to fruition. Just keep on rocking with Dr. Ray. Come join us in the 1089 tech community too. Come join us there, because that's the most. That's where we get a concentrated and focused lives, is in our Google chat community, because it definitely ain't no trolls. You know what I'm saying? And we could really break things down therein. You said that's why you was kind of shook. What you was shook of? Trying to figure out what had you shook. Oh, seeing a gigantic spaceship. So it looked like a spaceship. Of course, was it a cloud? The cloud, it might have been cloaked in the cloud. You know, a lot of so-called UFOs, that's when it's a UFO, when you can't identify it. He said, but it looked like what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad talked about. Yeah, that's the Crystal City. It was cloaked. Yeah, that shit is for real, man. That's for real. And I ain't trying to spook nobody out, but I done been on the crafts. I've been on crafts before. One time I was on the craft and they wanted to take me. I was like, yo, hold on, where we going? And my house got smaller and smaller. I'm like, yo, hold on. I didn't say I wanted to go nowhere. I never said that. He said it was another cloud in Hebrew when they hovered close by. Yeah, you're gonna have to draw out, you gotta have to draw that stuff out, draw it out, and illustrate it and show it to me. Yeah. You gotta join the community though, TiVo. We love to have you there. Cause see, then you ain't gotta type. We could talk back and forth. You know what I'm saying? Get some real clarity. And I'll look that shit up in real time, right while you right there. See, the people in the tech community already know what time it is. That's why they in there, right? But yeah, we'd love to have you in there. Same thing with Nature's First Initiative. And anybody else that's watching this now or gonna catch it in the replay. I implore for you guys to join us on 1089techvision.com. Come join us, man. All you got to do is purchase a piece of orgone. Leave your phone number with me if you are interested, and I will reach out to you. Give me some time, especially if we're not friends on these social media platforms, because I got a lot of people that reach out to me. And many of them just be wanting to argue. I got to sift through all of these arguing motherfuckers to find somebody's phone number. It's fucked up, but that's the way these demons play. Right? Yeah, so come on and join us there. And we're going to get off of here for now. And y'all join me on the TikTok. We're going to finish this up on TikTok. And we expound from there, loved one. All right? I'm going to be your beloved brother, Dr. Ray Anunta, Ray Tech, Master Organite Tech Builder, teacher of Raynology, wielder of primordial energy. Right? I am my ancestors' keeper. I'm an altar activation expert. See you guys on the TikTok. 222. All right. Wadu.